Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. But today we are looking at all the things I've been working on in April. So grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we're looking at all the things I've been working on in April this week. So let's get cracking with what I am wearing. Now I have on my Terra Nova sweater, which is a finished object for this month. I finished it right at the beginning of April, and I'll put up probably on this side actually a little twirl of me wearing it so you can see it from all the way around. And this is the jumper that I was working on when I did my how to steek video. The sweater has 5 steeks in total, a steek for each cuff, a steek at the neck, and a steek at the sides for some lace panels that go down, much the same as the lace panels on the top of the sleeves. So it's the same kind of lace, it's just a different chart. So it's a mixture of lace and fair isle. You start the lace panels across the tops of the sleeves first, and then you pick up the stitches all the way around and work cuff to cuff in the round to work the sleeves. So the stripes of the fair isle go cuff to cuff, and then you graft the underneath of the sleeves together and work in the round down the body, steek the sides, work a lace panel down the sides, then do a 3-needle bind off to attach that all together, and do ribbing. So it's all-in-one construction effectively, with a little bit of skills to mix it all together, but they are explained in the pattern. The pattern's quite clear. Unfortunately, I've worked the largest size of this pattern, and I'm not the largest size knitter around. I mean, I'm not a small girl, but I'm not the largest knitter around. So it is a little disappointing that such a wonderful pattern doesn't come in a wider range of sizes. However, it is an older pattern, so I don't know if the designer has expanded her size range between this pattern's release and her newer patterns, which she may well have done. Being a few years old, I don't know if she'll go back and change the sizes if she has an expanded size range now. Some designers are doing that, some aren't. Some are focusing on making their newer patterns more size inclusive. But you've got to start from somewhere, haven't you? So yeah, so it's an interesting construction. It's not a complicated make. It did take me a bit of time because I had other stuff going on at the same time that sort of interfered with me working on this sweater. But yeah, it's not that bad a knit in terms of ease and speed and what have you, and it would be possible for some knitters to do it inside a month. I wasn't that much over. When you sort of look at the amount of time I spent knitting on it, I probably could have done it in a month if I wasn't working on anything else, and doing other projects and other things and having life get in the way, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Fair Isle colourwork knitting, one of the things that sets it apart from other forms of stranded colourwork is that you're only working with 2 colours at a time at any point. So I mean, this sweater has 15 different colours of yarn in it. So it's not a budget sweater by any means, even with commercial yarn. I've used Knit Picks palette, so it's a very much a budget friendly commercial yarn that comes in a massive range of colours, which is brilliant. I was able to get enough yarn for this sweater in enough colours for less than if I'd used the called for yarn in the pattern. The called for yarn comes in 25 gram balls or 25 gram skeins, whereas Knit Pick palette comes in 50 grams. So I do have a lot of yarn left over from this project, but it's cost me less than if I'd have bought the smaller balls of yarn, and I can probably get possibly another garment, but definitely some more projects out of the yarn that's left over from this sweater. So that's a win. 2 for 1, if not more. If I'm doing accessories, I'm going to get a lot out of that. So yeah, so there are ways of doing it that make it a bit more budget friendly. I think that getting the the larger skeins. Whilst, yeah, you're going to be spending out a fair bit to get the yarn in the first place, because of the amount that you're going to have left over, because it's designed for 25 gram balls, then it becomes more budget friendly when you factor in how many projects you're going to get out of the yarn in total. If you're somebody who likes to use up all of the yarn that you buy, rather than having lots of leftovers hanging around that you don't have anything to do with. I don't know what I'm going to do with the leftovers so far. Toying with the idea of another garment. If I've got enough, I'll need to weigh it and work it out. Maybe something striped. I'm toying with the idea of some accessories to coordinate with this sweater. I'm also toying with the idea of using it in weaving. So there's lots of things that I could do with it. So it's a watch this space type thing. Okay, so that's my first finished object. It is fabulous. I have worn it a few times. I will get lots more wear out of it when it comes to autumn. There's only a few days at the moment I'm able to wear it because we are in spring weather. So sometimes it's really warm and sometimes it's not. And being stranded in knitwear, it's quite a warm jumper. So it's getting somewhere, but I'll get more wear as we get towards the tail end of the year. So that's all ready for then, and I'm really pleased that I've done it. I've always wanted to do an all over Fair Isle sweater project, and yes, okay, I've got some lace in here, but it's pretty much an all over Fair Isle sweater. So that's a tick, and it's a make 9 done and dusted. So woohoo! That's all good. So moving on to my other finished objects this month. I don't have many. I've had a few sort of life things get in the way with my knitting and my crafting in general the past couple of weeks, but I do have a couple of finished objects. As you know, if you're a long-term viewer, I do Sock Madness each year and have done for a few years now. Last month I showed you a work in progress pair of socks. They are now finished. Again, they were finished towards the beginning of April, and that is my plaid pocket socks. Socks with pockets, because why wouldn't you want pockets in your socks? So they are now completely finished. They're worked top down. The pocket is double knitting. If I get my finger in the pocket rather than the ribbing, so you get this striping effect on the inside. It is a slightly looser gauge at this point than the stranded knitting for the plaid pattern. But I mean, that's okay. The gusset is underneath the foot, and that's got a nice stripy pattern to it too. So overall I'm pretty pleased with this. I wasn't sure when I was actually working it up how well the plaid patterning was going to show up in the sock, but actually now that it's done, it shows up pretty well. If you get close to it, it doesn't show up too well because of the colours I've picked to do it in. I think if I'd have picked 2 colours that were different tones of the same colour for the contrast, it might be a bit clearer closer up. Some of them look fabulous in greens and reds. Very festive, very Christmassy, but it really shows up the plaid nicely. But yeah, from a distance you can see the plaid sort of tartany type patterning coming up on the sock. So yeah, overall I'm pleased with these, and these were made out of leftover yarn from the previous 2 pairs of socks that I'd made. So woohoo, yay for using up the leftovers. I can usually get a pair of socks out of about 50 grams of sock weight yarn. Particularly when I do contrast heels, toes and cuffs, I only need a small amount for that, and then the main body of the sock is only going to take a little bit of yarn to do. So yeah, I do have another pair of socks to show you. The plaid pocket socks, these ones were round 2 of Sock Madness this year, and in between some of the rounds you get bonus patterns for entire socks. This time round, after round 2, we got a bonus pattern, but it was a bonus pattern for just the heel and not the sock. So I've knitted up a pair of shorties. I don't normally knit shorties, but as we're getting towards the warmer weather, towards the spring, I thought a pair of shorties might be useful, and I think I'm going to be knitting quite a few more shorties because, yeah, using up leftovers, win. Quick project, win. Able to wear knit socks in the summer in the UK, because I wouldn't do it on the equator necessarily, but yeah, in the UK we do get some cooler days, so win. And I have worked up these shorty socks. So the pattern that we got was just for the heel, and this is a Tunisian crochet heel, which was made up by somebody who's involved in Sock Madness each year. Whether she'll release it as in a separate pattern later in the year, I don't know. She might, who knows. But yeah, it's using the Tunisian crochet simple stitch, so you get these sort of almost woven texture to the heel, and it's a nice squishy sturdy heel, and I can see me using it more. So yeah, so that was good. I have put up a video when I finished these socks. I did put a video showing how to work this particular stitch, so not showing how to integrate it into a sock, but this particular stitch. So I will try and remember to link it up here, or is it up here? It might be up here. Whichever side it appears on, I will try and remember to link the video for how to do this particular type of heel. So if you want to go and check that out, it's there. But yeah, shorty socks for the win. Really pleased with that. And yeah, that's all I've managed to finish this month. Mind you, that being said, it is a sweater and 2 pairs of socks, so that's not terrible. I'm still really behind on my sewing, so I need to get cracking with that. So I don't have any sewing to show you. It's all in my shelves. I think you've seen my little messy cubie before with my ready cut out, ready to sew, need to get on with it project. So they're there, but I do have some works in progress. So far we've covered 2 projects that I've made videos to go with, which I'm linking up here. And I'm just going to show you another one that I will also be linking up the top, because I have done a video to go with this project as well. As somebody who makes a lot of stuff, makes a lot of knitting, a lot of crochet, a lot of sewing, that kind of thing, I've always got scraps of something around. So I'm doing a project with some scraps, and it's an English paper piecing project. I haven't got any further than I did when I made the video, but this one is using some hexie templates to do some English paper piecing. So I'm using my scraps to do this. I am going to do a clamshells one as well. In the video that I'll link in the place they show up, I do show you my clamshell templates as well. I am going to have a go with those 2 at some point, hopefully over the next month. We'll see how I get on. But yeah, it's a great way to use up scraps. You can also buy fabric specifically for English paper piecing. Oh, I need to slow down the way I speak because that's tricky. So English paper piecing, you can buy fabric specifically to do these projects if you want to, and there is a project that I will be buying some fabric for at some point in the future that I want to do. It's kaleidoscope English paper piecing, but you don't have to. It's a great way to use up scrap fabric. You make new fabric out of it and then you can turn it into stuff. So I'm going to be making probably project bags out of these English paper piecing projects. So 1 clamshell and 1 hexie, or I might do the front clamshell and the back hexie, or the outside in one and the lining in the other. Who knows? I'm just going to keep going until I feel like I've got enough fabric essentially, and then I'll probably quilt it, a little bit of light quilting, and turn it into something. So yeah, so that's that. It's going to be a long-term ongoing project because scrap projects they're never quick, but as I get more cotton type scraps I'll be working on that. Any bits of cotton that I've got left over for projects that's not quite big enough to do a garment out of or that sort of thing, if it's big enough for like pocket bags and facings, I may well keep it aside for that. But in general, most of my cotton leftovers are going to be going into English paper piecing for the time being. So the next work in progress I'm going to show you is my round 3 Sock Madness sock. Now I'm not going to be competitive for round 4 for Sock Madness because that's as far as I've got and the round's about to finish. I don't even have a whole foot, never mind a whole sock. But it's a really interesting pattern. I do want to get this finished. It just might be put to one side for a little bit whilst I knit along with the next rounds that are coming up. Life's got in the way the past couple of weeks whilst I've been working on this, so I haven't got as far as I would have liked. It is a bit of a slower pattern as well because of all this cabling detail on the front. I'm doing it without a cable needle, which is a little bit quicker. So that's fine. I don't have a problem with it at all. It's an easy pattern to follow. I'm getting on quite nicely with it. I'm about halfway through the gusset, which is on the sole of the foot, and then you do a back and forth knitted on, like a knitted on edge for a shawl to do the back of the heel with cabling on it. Then you return to doing knitting in the round to go up the leg. Then you've got a back and forth knitted on horizontal band to go across the top of the sock before you do the ribbing for the cuff. So it's a really interesting construction, but yeah, it's probably going to get put to one side for a little bit whilst I knit along with the rest of my team for the rest of Sock Madness. and get past some life stuff that has put some emotion into this pair of socks. But that's what happens. I will finish them at some point. Hopefully I'll finish them before next year's Sock Madness. Hopefully I'll finish them before the end of this year, but who knows. But yeah, I do like them. They are pretty. But I just can't work on them at the moment. So that's those. Then they're just to one side. Until I come back to them later. So yeah, I'll keep you up to date with what's going on with Sock Madness. But yeah, I'm just being a cheerleader now for the rest of it, which is fine. That's the good thing about Sock Madness, actually. When you don't get through the rounds, you still get the patterns for the rounds. So you can still knit along with your team and still join in the community side of it, which is basically why I'm still doing it year on year, because that side of it is brilliant. The other work in progress I'm going to show you today, and yep, it is my last work in progress, is also one with a video. Most of my projects this month have been to do with videos, and it is one that I was hoping to be a little bit further on with by this point, but I'm not. And that is my weaving project. So here on my loom, I've got my design that I put together my pattern on a video previously, and then I've got my Raya knot fringing at the bottom, and I'm going to be using these same colours to do the hills at the bottom. I'm a little bit concerned I might not have enough of this green left, so there might be some blending going on, but we'll see. This is going to be a series of videos for my tapestry weaving, doing a series of Weave With Me videos, so I will be linking up the top here somewhere the playlist for that, so you can keep up with those if you're into weaving. Okay, so that's all of my works in progress. So let's have a little bit of a chat about other stuff. I've got one acquisition to show you, because very excitingly, we now have a local yarn shop. And by local, I mean it's in the town I live. I don't have to get a train and go to Nottingham to get to a yarn shop. So that's exciting. The shop is called Perla Row, and it used to be in another town, so it's an established business. It's not a brand new startup, but they, for various reasons, have had to move into the town that I'm in, into Grantham. So they have a new venue there. It's a lovely store. I went in on the day that it opened, which was Easter weekend, and picked up a skein of West Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite Lace. This is in the colourway Portobello, and yeah, it's a mulberry silk and Falkland wool, so 80% Falkland wool, 20% mulberry silk. I don't normally show acquisitions very much on this channel, partly because I don't buy stack loads of stuff. I try to buy for projects mostly, barring like the odd pretty and the odd sock yarn. I generally buy for a specific project. I generally stock up my sock yarn when I'm approaching Sock Madness, because you never know quite what you're going to need. So I'll have sock yarn left over from Sock Madness, and I've got a few bits and pieces that I've acquired from like local yarn shop weekends when I was living elsewhere, or that I've acquired from other people's stashes, or that I've got one set of cottons that I'm looking at just over there, and some acrylic just over there that I've used some of the acrylic, but I picked those up with a particular project in mind. The cottons, I picked up 3 different cottons for a particular project, and just kept the ones that I decided not to use for that project so that I could use for something else. The acrylic I picked up for goodness knows what reads, and yeah, didn't make whatever project I picked it up for. So yeah, I've got that sort of thing, but mostly I buy for specific projects. Spinning, less so. Spinning, I have some stuff that I picked up just because it was pretty and I wanted it, and I've spun that up, and I don't actually have a project yet for the yarn that I've spun out of it. That's fine. I'll get there eventually, but it's not a huge stash. I have a few fabrics that I picked up just because they were pretty, that I didn't have a specific project in mind, but I'm not doing that so much anymore. I'm now buying more for a specific project, or I'm requesting for fabric from somebody for a specific project. I don't generally just pick stuff up for the sake of it, because tiny room. I would very quickly run out of space if I did that kind of thing. So yeah, so to pick up a skein of that could possibly be this is not really what I generally do. So this, I do have a project in mind. I do have a design project in mind. I was going to do it for a brief for a magazine, but I'm not going to get that done in time for the deadline. So at some point this will be turned into something, and either submit it to a magazine or I'll do it for myself and release it myself. We'll see. So that's that. That's my acquisition, my exciting news that I now have a local yarn store that I can walk to. In fact, I could detour to it on the way to work. That's quite risky. So that's my one acquisition. That's all my works in progress. I'm just having a quick look around to see if there's anything else that I've set out. But nope, that's the lot that I had to show you. So I aim to put up a video every weekend, and once a month there's a video like this one where I'm sharing the project that I've been working on. I don't share every single whip that I've got going because that would be ridiculous. I have some that I haven't touched for weeks, months, years. So I don't do that. It'd be a ridiculously long video if I showed you absolutely everything that I've started. And I tend to focus on what I've been actively working on in that particular month, in this particular video. And as you can tell from the videos that I've linked up here throughout the course of today's video, in between times there's quite a variety of things that come up. Sometimes it's a tutorial on how to do something. Sometimes it's a, hey, I'm working on this project, this is how I'm going about it. So it's quite varied. So if you've enjoyed spending time in my company, like and subscribe and ding the bell like everyone tells you to do down there, and let me know what you're working on at the moment. I'd be really interested to see in the comments like what sort of projects you've got on the go. What's your longest work in progress? Mine is at least 5 years, possibly more. In fact, almost definitely more. It's a blanket, so they take a while, and I don't work on them in the summer. Let me know down below what the longest project you've got on the go is, and I will see you next week. In the meantime, happy crafting and bye bye for now.